Do you know what betrayal feels like when it doesn't come like a storm but like a bad joke? I can tell you because for me it wasn't a dramatic text message or a secret I stumbled across in her phone. It was Halloween night, under the orange streetlights and fake cobwebs, when her side guy showed up wearing the exact same costume I had picked out weeks earlier. And the kicker, he kissed her, right there in front of half the neighborhood, while I was standing only a few feet away, holding a bowl of candy like an idiot. I swear for a moment my brain thought it had to be some sick prank. Like maybe we'd planned a couple's gag costume, and I had just forgotten. But no, I had chosen that costume carefully, deliberately. I'd told her about it, even sent her a picture. She had smiled, nodded, told me it was cute. And there he was, wearing the same damn thing, same cape, same mask, same boots. Except on him, it wasn't funny, it was like a punchline I hadn't agreed to. The street was buzzing with laughter, kids darting between houses, parents chatting with red plastic cups in hand. And then, in the middle of it all, he leaned in, lifted her mask just enough, and kissed her like he owned her. My chest locked up, my throat went dry. My neighbors, people who'd waved at me for years, who'd asked me to help carry groceries or fix a fence post, turned their eyes away, some pretending not to see, others whispering behind their hands. It was like the world tilted sideways, and I was the only one who didn't get the memo that reality had changed. I couldn't move. My hands clenched the candy bowl so hard that the wrappers crinkled, and a few chocolate bars spilled onto the drive. Kids came up, tugging at my sleeve for treats, and I handed them out on autopilot while watching my girlfriend, my supposed girlfriend, wrap her arms around another man, a man dressed like me. Do you know how humiliating that is? To not just be replaced, but to be mocked in the process. To watch your identity, your idea, your presence, paraded in front of you as if it were disposable. When the kiss ended, she looked at me. She knew I'd see. Her eyes widened just slightly, but instead of guilt, there was this flicker of something else, something almost defiant, like she was daring me to call her out in front of everyone, like she wanted me to explode, to make a scene, to be the villain in the story she'd already been writing behind my back. And I didn't give her that satisfaction. I stood there jaw tight, forcing myself to keep my face neutral while my insides were tearing apart. I wish I could say I stormed over, ripped the mask off the guy, and knocked him flat. That's what the movies tell you a man is supposed to do. But reality doesn't play out like the movies. In reality, you're frozen. You're trying to hold on to some shred of dignity while your world collapses. So instead of fighting, I kept handing out candy until the crowd thinned, until the laughter died down, until I could retreat inside without drawing too much attention. The second the door shut behind me, I dropped the candy bowl, locked the door, and slid down against it. My chest heaved. My palms were sweating. I wanted to smash something, scream, cry, anything, but all I could do was sit there in silence, the echo of that kiss replaying in my head, over and over. What made it worse was the context. See, Halloween was our thing. Ever since we started dating, we'd gone all out. Decorations, costumes, pumpkin carving. She loved it, or at least she pretended to. We'd laughed over fake blood, argued about who made the better jack-o'-lantern, even talked about throwing big parties once we had our own place. And now, in one night, she had taken all of that and twisted it into a weapon. It wasn't just cheating, it was performance. It was public humiliation. It was a declaration to everyone in our little circle that I wasn't the man she wanted, that I was replaceable, laughable, forgettable. That kiss wasn't for her. It wasn't even for him. It was for me. I spent the rest of the night in the dark, ignoring the doorbell when kids came by, ignoring my phone when it buzzed with her texts. I couldn't even bring myself to read them. I didn't want excuses, didn't want half-baked apologies, didn't want to hear that it wasn't what it looked like, because it was exactly what it looked like, and no clever phrasing or teary eyes were going to change that. The next morning, I found out the neighbors had seen more than I realized. One of them, an older guy I respected, stopped me on the sidewalk and said quietly, "You don't deserve that." Just 5 words, but they sank into, because if even an outsider could see it, then it wasn't in my head. I wasn't overreacting. I wasn't crazy. She had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. And yet, and this is the part that's hardest to admit, Part of me still loved her. Part of me still wanted to believe there was some explanation, some reason that would make sense of the chaos. That's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't erase love overnight. It poisons it slowly, leaving you torn between anger and longing, between wanting to slam the door forever and wanting to beg for the version of them you thought was real. That's where part one of this story ends. Not with revenge, not with closure, but with me sitting in a house full of Halloween decorations that suddenly felt like tombstones, holding on to questions I didn't want answered, and love I no longer knew what to do with. When I woke up the next morning, my first thought wasn't even about her. It was about the silence. You know how sometimes you wake up and the world just feels wrong? Too still, too heavy, like something is waiting for you on the other side of the door. That's how it felt. The decorations outside still clung to the fences. Plastic bats, tattered sheets, meant to be ghosts, but they looked ridiculous in the daylight, pathetic even. Like me, I checked my phone, half dreading, half hoping I'd see a message from her. There were 7. The first few were the usual panic texts. I can explain. It's not what it looked like. The middle ones got defensive. Why didn't you say anything? You embarrassed me. And the last one was just 3 words. Please call me. I didn't. I couldn't. My hands shook, just holding the phone. By noon she was at my door. I saw her through the peephole. No costume this time. No mask, just her in a hoodie. Hair pulled back, eyes already glossy like she'd been crying all morning. For a long time I thought about pretending I wasn't home, letting her knock until she got tired. But part of me needed to face her, needed to hear what flimsy excuse she'd pieced together in the wreckage of last night. When I opened the door she didn't even wait. She rushed in like she owned the place, her words spilling out before I could tell her to stop. It wasn't what you think. I laughed, actually laughed, but it wasn't the funny kind. He wore my costume. He kissed you in front of everyone. Tell me, what exactly am I supposed to think? She froze. Her lips trembled, and for a moment I almost believed she was going to break down and confess everything. But then her chin lifted, stubborn, like always. It just happened. Just happened, I repeated, my voice rising. What did he trip and fall onto your mouth? In my costume. Her eyes flashed then, sharp and defensive. Don't twist it. You weren't paying attention to me anymore. You've been so busy with work, with your friends, with everything else. I needed. She stopped herself, but it was too late. The words were already in the air, poisonous and stinking. I stepped back, like her presence alone was toxic. You needed what? Him. Her silence was louder than any confession. That's when I noticed something in her expression. Not guilt, not shame, but calculation, like she wasn't here because she regretted what happened. She was here because she wanted to control the story, to make sure I wouldn't spread it around the neighborhood, to keep the perfect little mask of hers intact. And here's the thing, she underestimated me, because the neighborhood already knew. I'd seen the way people looked at me last night, the way they whispered, and when I walked to the corner store later that day, I saw it again. Those pitying eyes, those awkward nods. Word had spread, and I was the main character in a play I never auditioned for. It should have crushed me. But weirdly it didn't, because for once I wasn't the one hiding. She was. She had to walk these streets knowing people saw her kiss him. People knew, and that realization gave me something I hadn't had since the night before. Leverage. That week, I started piecing together the truth. Neighbors, it turns out, love to talk. A little nod here, a sympathetic smile there, and suddenly I was hearing everything. How they'd noticed her sneaking around before, how the side guy had been showing up in his car 2 blocks down, walking the rest of the way to avoid suspicion. How one neighbor had even caught them in the backyard once, thought it was strange, but never said anything. Every new detail was like gasoline on the fire burning inside me. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't paranoid. She'd been lying for months, and the whole damn neighborhood had been part of the backdrop. When I confronted her again, I didn't yell, I didn't throw things, I didn't even sound angry. I just looked her in the eye and asked, "How long?" She faltered. "What do you mean? How long have you been sneaking him in while I was at work? How long has he been parking 2 blocks down so no one would notice?" The color drained from her face. That was my confirmation. She stammered something about it being a mistake, about it not meaning anything. But I cut her off. "No," I said, calm and steady. "Mistakes are one-time things. Tripping on the stairs, sending a text to the wrong person. This was a routine. This was planned. This was betrayal. She started crying then, big heaving sobs, the kind that might have broken me once, but not this time, not after everything. And here's the part you might not expect. I didn't kick her out right away. I let her sit there crying, while I watched. Not out of cruelty, out of clarity, because for the first time in months, maybe years, I saw her exactly as she was. Not the girl I thought I loved. Not the person I built a future around. Just a liar, a coward, someone who would humiliate me in front of everyone, then try to rewrite the script to make me the bad guy. When she finally asked, through tears, "Can we fix this?" I felt something inside me shift. The answer was so simple, so obvious, I almost laughed again. No, that was it. One word, and it was over. The aftermath wasn't easy. The whispers in the neighborhood took months to fade. Some people still give me looks when I pass by, like they're wondering if I'm okay, like I'm some wounded animal limping down the street. But here's the thing, I am okay, better than okay, because the moment I let her walk out of my life, I started walking back into my own. And the side guy, still see him sometimes, driving around, looking smug in his car. But every time I do, I think about that night, the night he wore my costume, the night he kissed her in front of everyone, and I realize something important. He thought he was winning. He thought he was stealing something valuable. But all he did was reveal the truth faster. All he did was save me years of wasted time. So now, when Halloween rolls around, I don't skip it. I put up the decorations. I carve the pumpkins. I hand out candy to the kids. And when the neighbors stop by, I smile. I laugh. I live. Because the biggest trick of all wasn't what she did to me. It was believing for so long that she was worth the costume, the candy, the love I gave. And I'll never fall for that kind of trick again.